No, absolutely not. In fact, I actually believe that the best way to get best government is not to have career politicians. I mean, look at our governor. Our governor was the attorney general for 16 years before he became the governor, and then before that, he was in the state senate. So, in all practicality, to where we are today, he's served 24 years of receiving a state paycheck. If he's re-elected, it'll be at 28 years of receiving a state paycheck. You fundamentally think about government differently when your income is only coming from a government check versus having to get up every day and work in the private sector. Where I believe the voters got it right is what we need individuals who are willing to go and serve their communities, whether it's in the legislature, statewide offices, whatever it is, but ultimately know that they're going back to the private sector to live under those same laws, same rules, same regulations that they create while they're in office. That's why it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Now, one of the things moving in the state senate this week, without the committee, was a proposal to change the way our judges are selected for Supreme Court in Missouri. We'll start with Senator Luckman after this. That's going to come down to a close vote. What kind of changes to the Missouri judicial selection plan would you be in favor of?
Absolutely. I fundamentally believe we have to change the way that we elect judges, and specifically in the quote nonpartisan court plan, the Missouri plan. A couple things. Number one, the way that it's structured today, the trial bar, the lawyers actually make up the majority of that commission. Now stop and think about that for a minute. We're allowing lawyers who essentially could someday practice in front of the judge be the majority of the members who pick the judge. Now I don't know about you, but nothing in that continuum sounds right to me. That's like letting the executives of the utility companies pick the members of the Public Service Commission. We would never do that. You know, the process by which the nonpartisan court plan has worked in the past has been one in which it's not been open to the public, and there's been a lot of discussion and debate to finally get some sunshine and some transparency into that process. But more important than anything else is ultimately what you have to have in the judiciary, just like you do in the legislative branch and the executive branch, is accountability. And I believe that governors should be accountable to the people that they be accountable for the people they put on the bench. I believe that is the only way that the taxpayers have the opportunity to hold people accountable for their actions.
I am a zealous supporter of reform to the Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan. By the way, this was an improvement when enacted in 1940 over the previous system. Do you know what the previous system was? We elected judges in this state, and Missouri politics, Missouri was a one-party Democratic fiefdom controlled by the Kansas City machine, the St. Louis machine, and the corrupt, illegal voting in the Boudin, south of where I'm from, in southeast Missouri. The August election, the August Democratic primary was all that mattered. So you had a corrupt boss, nationally famous for corruption in Kansas City, picking our judges to run on the Democratic primary and backing them with this machine in the two cities, and that effectively elected them. The citizens came along with the nonpartisan court plan and said, let's have a different way of selecting them. But the reform has now been corrupted, much in the fashion that the senator just described. At the time, in 1940, when the citizens enacted the Missouri Plan, which, by the way, became famous because it was adopted by, nearly 40 other states? At the time they adopted it, they thought, well, we're going to get politics out. What we did not have in the legal profession in 1940 was a tiny, greedy minority of the legal profession, a minority of the legal profession, that was making millions and millions of dollars, much of it a form of legal extortion, millions and millions of dollars, to take control of the commission that submits the names to the governor. If you don't understand how this happens, this has all been a civics education for me, even though I passed the test in junior high school, I guess, on the Missouri Constitution. Your education is not confined to the classroom, and you get a continuing education in the halls of the Capitol. And let me just tell you how this works. the commission of unelected people chaired by the Chief Justice of the court and dominated by lawyers and dominated by the lawyers, the minority of trial lawyers who the senator described, have a stranglehold on this process. So they submit 3 names to the governor. Now, in my first term as Lieutenant Governor, Governor Blunt got 3 names and he didn't like any of them. Now here's the nuance in the Missouri nonpartisan court plan that I did not know about, and I bet there isn't a person in here who knows what I'm about to say. What happens if the governor rejects all 3 names? Do you know what happens? What happens is the commission of unelected people, he doesn't get a new set of 3 names to choose from, as he should, if this had any integrity to the process at all. Rather, it goes back to the unelected commission that submitted the names to him, and they pick this judge for what is effectively a lifetime appointment. That is wrong, and that needs to be reformed. And almost any step in the way, in the direction of opening up the process to other decision makers and getting it away from this tight little clerisy would be a positive reform for Missouri.
Governor, if this came down to the tie vote in the Senate, the proposal they're looking at right now, which is basically the federal system of the Senate approving one of the governor's judges, would you vote in favor of that proposal if it was a tie vote in the
I would
Senate?
have to look at it carefully, but I stand by the statement I just made. Almost any step away from the tight little closed circle. You know, what we have now it would be a positive one that I would consider voting for. Likely, yes.
Okay.
But what we have now, this unelected commission submitting 3 names that cannot be vetoed by the governor. And if he does veto them, then they get to pick. That's what the systems analysts call a closed feedback loop. Now let me tell you one other aspect of this that is corrupt and corrupting. These judges get appointed by the governor after they're picked in the manner I just described. And by the way, the commission has gotten increasingly arrogant in their submittals of names to the governor on a take it or leave it basis, kind of in your face. We don't care if your party controls the 2 houses of the legislature, one by more than 2 to 1 and the other by just under 2 to 1. We don't care what the people said. We're going to give you 3 left-wing trial lawyers and you got to pick one of them for what is effectively a lifetime Supreme Court appointment. Now why is it effectively a lifetime Supreme Court appointment? Because in the first election, the first biennial election after the appointment, that judge stands for what the lawyers call a retention vote. Yes or no? Shall Judge John Jones be retained in office? Yes or no? He's not running against anybody. There is no opposing candidate pointing out pros, cons, indifferent. It's a yes or no. You know how many, in 72 years, how many judges have been turned down on retention? 1. The retention vote is a fiction. It's what lawyers call a fiction. It's not a real check on anything. There is no information put out to the voters, and that's another reason for reform of the Missouri plan.
Senator Longer, are you in favor of the Senate proposal that's being going through the judiciary right now?
If I remember right, and I haven't read the entire proposal, but the last that I heard about, it restructured the commission so that what is called lay people, so us, people like us, non-lawyers, would actually have the majority on the commission. There would still be lawyers, but they would no longer be in the majority. However, the Chief Justice would no longer be on there. And I believe they would expand the size of the panel. And the governor would essentially, through the timing of appointments, the governor would end up with control of the commission within his first term in office. And I do believe that is moving us in the right direction. Is it as far as I want to go? Probably not. But if that proposal gets to the Senate and comes to a vote, I will support it, yes.
Now, Peter Kendrick, you have made the Affordable Care Act, the President's Health Care Law, a big part of the last couple of years of your term. If the law does not get overturned, at some point Missouri's going to have to set up a committee to oversee it here in Missouri. Do you think the Lieutenant Governor should sit on that committee? And if that committee does go forward, how will you interact?
I reject the premise of your question respectfully to my friend Eli. There will be a little matter taken care of in November called an election. And if if, as I suspect is unlikely, the Supreme Court upholds the constitutionality of what the President now embraces and calls Obamacare, if they uphold it, which I do not expect to happen, we then have the matter of an intervening election. And it is up to the people acting at the ballot box through their elected representatives in the executive branch, the federal level, their state legislators, their governor, their U.S. senators and members of Congress to go to work after this November election with new majorities in Washington and repeal this monstrosity of a law, ripping it out root and branch and replacing it with market-oriented reforms that place the consumer of health care and physicians and surgeons in the driver's seat. I will not yield in this battle, no matter what the court says.
Senator.
You know, one of the things that is often not discussed about the federal health care law, I mean, we have the current debate going on about is it constitutional or not, and I actually hope and pray, just like the lieutenant governor does, that ultimately the court throws it out. But if you really take a step back and understand the implications of that law, you know, right now, we have about 6 million people that live in our state. Just short of 1 million people today are on Medicaid. If the federal health care bill goes into effect through a series of eligibility changes, so they're broadening the number of people who qualify for state-provided services, the estimates are we could add up to 400 to 450,000 additional people by the time it's fully phased in. If you understand what the ramification of that is from a financial perspective, the real untold story of the federal health care bill is it will bankrupt every state. I mean, there is no option of allowing this to fully go into effect. We can't afford it. I agree with Peter, it's unconstitutional, and ultimately, I do not see any way, shape, or form that changes are not going to have to be made.
Yes, Senator, I'm glad you brought up Medicaid, so the next question.